We're thrilled to have you join us today for another of our Knōd Career Chats. These chats are a great opportunity for you to get to know different employers and industries around the world. As you listen to the chat, if you have a question you would like to ask, you may enter it in the chat window in the bottom left of your screen. We will have time to answer your questions at the end of the presentation. For today's career chat, we are very pleased to welcome Carrie Arndt, who is the Quality Director at Johnson & Johnson and is based in California in the United States. Carrie, we welcome you to our career chat today. Could you please share with us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I'd like to welcome people as well, wherever you are in the world. Where I am, the appropriate greeting is good morning, but I think you're probably later in your day, so I'll use the good day as a greeting. And I'd like to talk to you about careers in healthcare. A little bit about me to get us started. Today I'm in a quality director position at Johnson & Johnson. I am the director of the Management Comprehensive Action Plan, which is a long title. It really means that I am working on a sustainable compliance initiative. We are in a regulated industry, and so we are working to improve our compliance position with the Food and Drug Administration. I work for a company that is part of Johnson & Johnson. It is called Advanced Sterilization Products, and we focus on the prevention of infections by sterilizing utensils that are used in the operating room. So we're preventing people from getting hospital-acquired infections. I have a 25-plus year career in the medical device and diagnostics industry, heavily as a product developer. Couple things that I think are worth touching on from my background that will let you look at what a career may be like over a long period of time. I have worked in multiple functions. I have experience in research and development, in operations, in quality assurance, in business development, and in program management. And some of these functional areas I've worked at multiple times in my 19 years at Johnson & Johnson, and I also worked in multiple functions previously at another major healthcare employer, Becton Dickinson. My training was in medical microbiology. However, a lot of my experience really is engineering at this point. I also have had my whole career focused on healthcare. I have worked focusing on infectious diseases as well as chronic disease states such as diabetes. I also spend a lot of my time working in the nonprofit arena, both as a part of Johnson & Johnson, where we focus on our local and our world communities, as well as outside in my private life. And in fact, it's in that domain that I've gotten to know Knōd. Where I'm heading long-term in my career probably is into a global organization focused on healthcare, probably in the nonprofit arena.
Great, thanks.
So lots of aspects in your career.
Yeah, you have a great background. Tell us a little bit more about Johnson & Johnson and the industry and the company you work for there.
Sure. So Johnson & Johnson is a company that it was founded in 1886, understandably by two brothers who were named, whose last names were both Johnson. We are based in New Brunswick, New Jersey. However, we are found around the world. We're a multinational medical device, pharmaceutical, and consumer packaged goods manufacturer. That is a lot of information in a few words, so I'll try to break it down for you. People probably know Johnson & Johnson best for our baby products. We sell baby shampoo and are really known for Johnson's Baby. We're also known for Band-Aids, which are small adhesive bandages that were a unique and novel product that people know not as a bandage, but they know as Band-Aid. They know it as our brand name, and that's a trademark brand. However, there are many pharmaceutical drugs that are also Johnson & Johnson. The first two products I mentioned are in our consumer arena, and we have many skincare products and sunscreen, beauty products for your face, makeup. Neutrogena is part of Johnson & Johnson. And really, there are over 200 companies that are marketing around the world that are all part of Johnson & Johnson. The area that I have spent my career in is the medical device industry. And I mentioned to you briefly when I was talking about my background, what are two different businesses. The infection prevention business, advanced sterilization products, where I work today, as well as Johnson & Johnson Diabetes Solutions. Brand names that people may have heard of if they know anything about diabetes. One would be LifeScan, and the brands are One Touch brands, either Ultra or Vario are probably the two that are marketed around the world, or One Touch Select. And then we also make insulin pumps from a company known as Animas. So that gives you a little bit of background about Johnson & Johnson. So you can have a varied career within one company, and you can be like me and move within companies within California. There's also many companies in New Jersey, and there are many companies around the world. And we also have a market partner. If anyone is on from Kenya, Philips Healthcare is our marketing partner for many of these products within Kenya.
Yeah, I think that's where where we connected with Johnson & Johnson was in Kenya, and they have a lot of partner companies that work and connected with Johnson & Johnson there, which is very interesting. Give us a little bit more about the healthcare industry. I think you had another slide about that.
Sure. So the healthcare industry is one of the world's largest and fastest growing industries. You look at it, and yeah, it's
but I'm not sure.
So broad.
There we go.
So
Okay.
So the healthcare industry is really broad. You can have a career as a doctor or a nurse. You can have a career working in a laboratory. We see pictures of surgeons here. Healthcare affects us every day, for ourselves, for our families. Johnson & Johnson is very, as well as the people who care for them. And the breadth of the career that you can have in healthcare is phenomenally large, with our growing world population and focus, maybe even more so in the developing world, and helping people live healthy lives. The opportunity to make a difference and feel that difference every day when you go to work is tremendous in the healthcare field.
So that leads us to the next question I have, which is about opportunities. So yeah, the healthcare industry is so large, and there's so many things. Currently the programs that we're working with at Knōd, we have IT and business. There will be others that will be coming. But what are some of the opportunities for students that might be working in, or studying business or IT and in the healthcare industry?
So I'll touch first on business, because we mentioned just a few minutes ago Philips Healthcare, because Johnson & Johnson does work directly, and then we have partners such as Philips in sub-Saharan Africa and other partners around the world. And so with a business background, there are opportunities to work in a sales arena and work directly with partners, for instance, in hospitals, in clinics, and out with physicians. These healthcare providers need to know about our products. We help them find solutions. And so with a business background, you can go into sales. You can move into marketing, which is helping people understand what the products even are that are out there that they might want to be able to utilize. We find solutions for instance, for a surgeon, a new tool for in the operating suite. We provide implants for, let's say, your hip, and we train our physicians. So you could come into a company and become an educator and train them on how to use the products and to help their patients. With an IT background, that we need systems to be able for people to be able to order products. We need systems to be able to send them their products. Our professionals within the company need to be able to communicate with each other. We have systems within IT that allow us to manage our documents and to communicate with each other. So there's a world of different opportunities coming from both a business background, and I'm looking at the slide that you all can see, and you can, with a business background, if you have courses in accounting, you can come in and help the company manage our money within the finance arena. So broad opportunities. For people that are science and engineering oriented, I think that you can pick up the opportunity to actually develop these products. And I'm an example of somebody who has technical background but also strong business skills, and I've developed them along the way, having had science as my background. I think you can come at it from the opposite end and start out with a business background and then find that there's interesting things once you start to explore the business opportunities that you actually want to get some technical training for. I see a question about are there health professions experiencing workforce shortages? And the answer to that is absolutely. I think we haven't begun to touch our ability to actually improve healthcare outcomes around the world. Kenya, for instance, HIV has been all-consuming. My old business, diabetes, I would term it being under the iceberg of HIV, but it's a disease where most people aren't even diagnosed, and they certainly aren't getting the right background to be treating them. Nursing is another good example where there's a tremendous shortage. I see a question also about my job in compliance and what kind of opportunities they are. And so I am in quality assurance. I think that, making sure that we put out safe product that meets the highest quality standards is core to what we do. And we absolutely need people that can understand the regulations very broadly and then help translate those into action within the companies. There's a couple of things on this slide that also touch on it. Healthcare compliance and policy, making sure that we are meeting the needs of governments around the world, making sure that we're meeting the needs of the people who pay for healthcare. Many parts of the world, there is no funding for healthcare and it's self-pay, and a lot of those governments are just now starting to try and figure out how to provide national health insurance. And so I think that's like a really big untouched space for somebody with a business background who has a little bit of technical aptitude to help create. I've met personally with people in the Ministry of Health and the Centers for Disease Control in Kenya, and they really are so early in their journey that they need people that can help them move that forward quickly. What I just mentioned also touches on the whole area of health economics, access, reimbursement. And most governments around the world haven't even figured out how to even start there, and helping get the products out into more rural areas.
Well, thank you. If you've just joined us, we're talking with Carrie Arndt, who's Quality Director at Johnson & Johnson. She's based in California, and we've been talking a little bit about the industry and opportunities in the industry. Now, Carrie, let's kind of shift gears a little bit. You've talked about a lot of different jobs that require different technical skills and so on, and varied different skills. What are some of the most important skills at Knōd? We try to focus a lot on the soft skills because that's what we're hearing from employers that is so lacking. Tell us a little bit about what type of skills. When we talk about skills, what does that mean, and what are you looking for as you hire people into this industry? Let's see. I can't hear you again. Let's see if your microphone is.
Ability to. Sorry,
No,
I
still
am
not.
like
Oh, there we go. Okay.
still not. Okay. My huge interest as I start
Oh,
walking
I
down the
I still
path
can't hear you
of
again. Sorry,
both
it's gone
reviewing.
away.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Might be a short. There you go.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the people skills and the ability to work in teams is paramount as I start interviewing people. I think that the earlier you can get interactions and understand what each person can bring to the composite of what you're trying to do in a business environment, the more successful you're going to be. When I interview people, I ask for examples, and I ask for examples all the way back through your schooling. How did you have to bring different people together to solve a problem and to work together? So how you can communicate with each other is hugely important. I look for that as I'm interviewing. I'm looking for written skills. I'm looking for oral skills. I'm looking for people who inherently like to work together and to apply themselves to a problem and not just have theoretical learning. I'm also looking for critical thinking skills. And one concern that I have is with some of the educational systems around the world is that they're very focused on rote learning, being able to repeat back specifics without thinking through what the implications are. And so that is also really important to me as well. I'm looking for somebody who can understand something in a systematic approach, and then who can then drill down and actually look at the details and support their hypothesis.
Okay. I think those are really good skills. Do the people that work in the healthcare industry, do you work in teams a lot, or is it a very individualized type of environment?
It's totally in teams, right? And so that really, to me, is the most critical piece. And that's why when I interview students coming out of U.S. universities, I find people who've spent time in a research lab studying something very small, very deep, and they haven't worked with people, and those are not the people that I am looking for. I talk to students from other universities, and they've inherently worked in groups, and that's what we do. A big piece of my career has been running new product development projects, and I have somebody sitting at the table from research and development, from the marketing group, from the quality group, and from operations, and with a clinical background, sometimes physicians, working together to find a solution that meets the whole need. So that's when I said being able to sit together and think from different perspectives. That's really what is critically important, is to know how to interact with each other and to inherently want to hear someone else's opinion.
In your
There's few jobs.
go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say there's very few roles, and maybe accounting is one of those where you're sitting at a desk and working by yourself. Most of the roles are having to work with each other, whether it be in a technical domain, in the laboratory, having to it be out working with our customers to understand what they need to bring that back to the engineers. So, we work together, and that's a core skill set.
So to go along with that, you're in California. Johnson & Johnson's a worldwide company. How often and how much do you work with like this, where it's a remote setting where you're talking to somebody or having a conference call or working together on a team with people from all over the world or all over the country, in different areas?
So I've been working with telephones and video conference for over 15 years within Johnson & Johnson. I've worked almost on a daily basis with colleagues in Scotland, with colleagues in China and Korea and Japan. I've developed products for Japan, and some of the challenges that go with it are not just that I'm not walking up to somebody's desk, but they are the time zone differences, there are cultural differences, And you have to get to know all of that and find ways when you are virtual to communicate, because I think that communication, not just writing an email, but actually talking to somebody and dialogue is just critical to to the success, your personal success, your business success.
Great. There's one other question, I appreciate everything that you've said. This is just perfect for what we're trying to do with Knōd. And the participants out there, if you have any other questions, feel free to type them in. There's just one more question here, and unless something else comes, we'll have this be our final one. Is there one right path to enter into the healthcare field? Is there any specific way that if somebody wants to be in healthcare that they need to get there? Or I think you've talked a little bit about that, but could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
Sure. So I don't think there's one path to entering any field. I think there's multiple paths. But one of the things, as I've gotten to know Knōd, that also resonates with my experience in bringing people into the workplace is the internships, the hands-on learning, the ability to bridge what you've learned in the classroom directly into application. I think that's the most critical piece, so that if you're interested in healthcare, then we should be working to help you shape internship opportunities where you're able to apply your business or IT skills in a healthcare-related internship, whether during school or right after school. I think that is, in fact, the pathway is immediate application of what you're doing. I think you can go off and do other work and then come into healthcare, but it's easiest to have already started to demonstrate the skills in the environment that you want to work in.
And that's exactly what we hope to do with Knōd, in partnering with organizations like Johnson & Johnson or others, where we can actually have our students working on projects, real projects in the classroom, well, the virtual classroom, we'll call it, on Teams, working with people like you, so that when they finish their program, they have that experience. They've had opportunities to work on projects and are getting those skills. Carrie, we really appreciate your time. This has been very informative, and we look forward to a long relationship with Johnson & Johnson, and thank all of our participants for listening. As we continue on, we have other chats scheduled coming up, and if you want to find out more about those, you can go to our Facebook page or to our Knōd.net and study at Knōd page if you want to know more about Knōd. Until next time, everyone, have a great day, and Carrie, good morning and good evening to the others of you around the world, and thank you very much.